My position is that the government can't mandate one person provide their body to another person. However, if a person provides consent in the initial phase, now they have an obligation for a certain time period. So
if you have sex and you get pregnant, you are obligated to carry that baby to term. Is that what you're saying?
I think that I'd be in favor of abortion up to a certain point.
Well, but I don't understand what the logic is there.
Logic is compromise.
In this video, Sam Seder humiliates Tim Pool for his unhinged delusions. So Tim will just pretend to know all about bodily autonomy until he just doesn't. He just spins this wild logic where women suddenly owe their bodies after sex, then dives headfirst into this bizarre rant about rape kits being the line for abortion access. And honestly, it just gets worse from there. He just tries to dodge every direct question Sam throws at him, but Sam just keeps pressing him, just exposing how little Tim's argument just holds up here. It's one of those debates where the more Tim just talks, the more unhinged he sounds, and Sam just doesn't let a single contradiction slide here. So make sure to watch till the end to see how Sam Seder humiliates Tim Pool for his unhinged delusions.
Oh, so this is just a question of splitting the baby in half, literally.
Not literally splitting the baby in half. It is, can the government tell someone you must provide your body and blood to another person?
And you say they can up to a certain point.
The questions of consent play a role in whether you allow someone and then have an obligation to them based on the requirement. So for instance, like rape, I 100% exception. Health of the mother,
okay,
100%
so
exception.
let's take rape.
Yeah. The woman can choose.
Okay. What establishes rape?
When a person does not consent.
Okay. How rape is a criminal term, right?
Yes, indeed.
So you need to go through the court case.
Perhaps.
What do you mean perhaps?
Well,
like, can I come in and say I was raped and that's it? All I need to do is say I was raped.
Nope.
Okay. So you need to have a court case.
No, I didn't say that either. There would have to be some degree of
Well, you keep telling me what you're not saying, but why don't you just say what you're saying? How do you establish?
No, you got to calm down.
No, well, how do you establish what if rape is taking place or not?
So there's rape kits, right? And we can check for abrasions, and a woman who was raped certainly would want to get a rape kit done, I'd imagine.
Well, okay. First of all,
but if you're asking,
we know for a fact
if you're asking
hold on. We know for a fact that a lot of women, don't seek rape kits for whatever reason, because they're afraid to. Okay, so if you don't get a rape kit,
we have responsibilities to ourselves and to others, and sometimes those choices are very difficult to make.
So just the existence of a rape kit will establish that rape has happened. Why do we need court cases to establish that rape has happened?
I didn't say we did. I said no.
Okay, so
a medical professional who assesses that a rape has occurred, I believe, is
what if they go in
largely
too many days after to get a rape kit?
And then there's no evidence of a rape taking place?
Yeah.
That would be a restriction.
Okay. So who makes that adjudication?
If a rape took place?
Yeah.
The person administering the rape kit.
So this is where things just go totally off the rails. Tim's trying to sound all principled with this whole bodily autonomy angle, but then turns around and builds his argument on the idea that rape kits should be the standard for whether someone can access abortion. Like, what even is that? Sam just immediately calls out how absurd that is, rightfully so. And Tim just can't clearly say if a court case is required, or if just saying you were raped counts, or if a doctor somehow becomes the judge, jury, and gatekeeper of your rights. It's just a whole mess. And when Sam presses him, like actually asks who makes that call, Tim just tosses it to the person administering the rape kit. Like, that's not how anything works. That isn't just bad policy making, that's just completely dangerous. The majority of survivors don't even get a rape kit because often they're just ashamed and traumatized. So now these women just lose access? Sam just completely exposes Tim's broken logic here.
So we would put rape kit people who are administering this and look at the evidence. And do you think it's just like completely binary? Do you think like when you get a rape kit, like this person has definitely been raped or this person has definitely not been raped?
I think that we're dealing with something outside of the simplicity of I can go to court. It takes 6 months to a year to figure something out, which means there's a compromise. How can we come to the best determination to make sure that women are not lying, which I assume would be exceedingly rare, and we're actually going after the criminals? I do not think it's fair to put the burden on someone to perform an abortion without actually taking the responsibility of yourself and saying, look, victims have responsibilities, and it's unfortunate that they're victims, but we're trying our best.
So if you don't go, so let's say, for instance, like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever, and spent any time exploring the psychological and the sort of like social pressures on people to report rape. I mean, but you're basically saying that if you don't go and get a rape kit, it's contingent upon the police department to assess this rape kit. If you go too late,
Is that who's administering the rape kit?
yeah.
It's not a doctor?
No, I mean, they may have medical things.
Well,
but it's
I was talking
basically-
about a doctor. She goes to the doctor. She says, I've been raped. They do a kit and they say, okay. And then she says, I would not want to have a pregnancy from this.
Now,
And we say,
do you honestly, like, do you know how this works? It's not like it's preponderance of the evidence. I mean, it's like, so you're basically saying the doctor gets to decide.
I am. You don't think doctors should be able to decide to give a woman an abortion?
No, I think doctors can decide. Well, I think doctors are responsible for.
This is a compromise. I'm pro-choice, but I recognize that we're not going to live in a society where one side's demanding an extreme, the other side's demanding the other.
So you
extreme.
think the rule should be if you get a
doctor makes
rape kit? What if it's somebody?
We're
who's
talking
like,
about edge cases.
what
I
if
mean, I
it's
don't know why you're
15?
getting so much into the edge cases.
Well, I mean,
how often does this even happen?
how often do people go in and get an abortion at 8.5 months because
Many.
they feel like it?
That's my point.
Yeah, very, very few.
Right. So why are you bringing it up?
Well, because the people who you would create restrictions are going to are going to cause
Exceedingly rare and not even an issue.
So then, why would we have any restrictions whatsoever?
Because what do you mean? So that babies at 8 months don't have their lives ended?
Well, I mean, what if there are reasons for it? I mean,
that's then requiring adjudication. But it's so exceedingly rare. You're arguing an edge case for a dramatic change in policy.
but
I'm not. I'm
it's
saying
not a dramatic change in policy. There, I think, like
it's kind of
10
wild that I'm
states.
like women should
There
be
are
able to get
10
abortions, but you're like, yes, but in these exceedingly rare circumstances, we should remove all restrictions because sometimes.
Excuse me, I think there's 10 states at least. I know you can look this up where there are no restrictions.
I agree. Yeah,
So it's
Colorado's
not.
one.
This is not some type of like radical change of policy. It exists.
No, this is recent. After the end of Roe v. Wade, these are the restrictions that these changes started happening across the board.
I mean, I can understand that.
Do you agree with those states removing restrictions?
Like I say, yes, because I think
That's not Roe v. Wade. That's the end of Roe v.
Oh, I said at least go back to Roe v. Wade.
So this is where Tim just really starts spiraling. He's already built this strange standard about rape kits being the gatekeeper for abortion rights. And now he doubles down by saying victims, the victims, have responsibilities. Like, what kind of dystopian logic is that? Sam just immediately calls it out, and he points out the real-life pressures victims face when deciding whether to even report rape. And Tim just hand waves it away like those social and psychological factors don't even matter. It's just so frustrating to watch. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, Tim just shifts into the classic deflection tactic. Why are you talking about edge cases? As if these life-altering situations don't deserve legal protection. Sam just immediately bodies him here by flipping the same logic back. If third trimester abortions are also rare, then why does Tim want restriction at all? Tim has no real answer here, and just some vague moral panic about babies at 8 months. Like, dude, those laws exist in multiple states. Sam even hits him with the fact that 10 states, no restrictions, and Tim still tries to frame it like it's some radical outlier.
Didn't Roe v. Wade have a provision on viability? It was an additional case that people don't bring up. That was in the 90s.
Casey.
Is that what it was? There was a question about viability and whether or not you can end the life.
The court said in Casey it just changed the date in which, I should say the week in which states could then begin to impose restrictions on that right to get an abortion.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think these type of restrictions end up killing people.
The overturning of Roe and Casey resulted in states removing restrictions.
Correct. Wait, I'm sorry. Say that again.
The overturning of Roe v. Wade created the legal precedents by which states could begin to remove restrictions.
No. They could. I think they could have done that prior to that. I think they could have done that prior to that.
So the question ultimately is, I'm not going to come down as the supreme judge and just say like it must be. The right is wrong. I say, and I've told Republicans this: if I was a woman that got raped and you told me I had to have a baby, I'd blow my brains out. Like, there is no fucking way you will tell me that I'm going to, by force, without my consent, give my body to somebody
You are
else.
telling that that woman who got raped.
There is some
that
degree of responsibility.
You have to announce this. You need to follow certain procedures as a victim of a crime.
Yes.
And if you don't, we're going to force you to carry that child to term.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
There is a responsibility we have as victims of crimes as well. And one of the problems we have in this country is that...
That's an interesting theory.
Well, it's true. Right? If you're a victim and you want accountability and justice, you have to go to court.
What if you make the determination that I don't want to go through what is involved with getting accountability and justice, but I also don't want to carry my rapist child. In that scenario, the woman is out of luck, according to you.
If you are not willing to take your responsibilities,
The responsibilities that,
of victims.
that the rapist has imposed upon you.
Indeed, yes.
Okay. So this is what do you call this? The Rapist in Power Act?
And wrapping this up, Tim's argument just completely caves in on itself. He's trying so desperately to sound empathetic, saying he wouldn't want to carry a pregnancy after rape. But then he turns around and says women should be forced to if they don't follow certain procedures. And Sam just calls it out exactly for what it is. It's not a compromise, but a system that punishes victims for not jumping through enough hoops. And when Tim admits flat out that rape victims still have responsibilities, Sam just shuts him down completely and just exposes Tim's weirdly biased and twisted logic. And speaking of biased, are you getting tired of getting news from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite? How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, whether it's left, right, or center, are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get a 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights in media bias and political trends. So stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.